morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report for Saturday morning, March 13th. Seth, Merrow, and Brian Nadeau. Brian, good morning.
Seth, good to hear from you. Yeah, a lot of excitement. We're getting with each passing day, we get closer and closer to that Run for the Roses, first Saturday in May.
The traditional first Saturday in May this year. So things are on schedule. We were talking off the air. Let's just set up that next week the fairgrounds where you are this winter, and folks will be able to look at the past performances sooner rather than later for the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, the beauty of the 7-day draw, Seth, is that the Saturday before almost puts it right in front of you, because we will draw the Derby today, 11:30 a.m. Central Time. And if you're back home and on your Capital OTB account, you can just pull up the fairgrounds feed and you'll be able to watch, actually. And then I would think, I was talking to Grant Lagrange, who works in the racing office, and he seemed to think the full card would probably be out, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock our time. So it'll be right there, and then you'll be able to print out PPs and start scuffing them up. We think we're going to get 8 for our Derby. Of course, the big 3, Mandaloon, Proxy, and Midnight Bourbon, and Doug O'Neill is shipping in Hot Rod Charlie as well. Those are the 4 main players. And what I've said on the air on TV several times over the past week or so, the best Louisiana Derby I can remember. The Louisiana Derby has had really good horses before, but not this many that could, and not this many, Seth, that I think can move on and be serious players.
Let's also touch on the weather down there. Not out for the next week, but I said to you off the air, I said, boy, it's been nice up here this week. Shirt sleeve weather for a couple of days. It's cooled down now today, unfortunately, but not as nice as down there, because I was watching the paddock yesterday as I was doing the afternoon show, and you had on the corporate polo and looked quite comfortable in the outside set.
Yeah, we've wanted for nothing down here, Seth, for about 3 or 4 days, and the weekend looks great as well, better than Fort Lauderdale. So I keep my eye on the weather there. It's been phenomenal. Upper 70s. There was a good breeze yesterday, but all things look great for today. I think tomorrow as well. Maybe a little rain tomorrow, but I don't think it's till later in the day, if at all. So yes, it's been great. Next week looks a little rainy, maybe midweek, and then a little cooler temperatures. But I think we're in good shape as well for the Derby next Saturday. So it's a lot of excitement is building down here in New Orleans. 8 stakes races next Saturday. So I think we're getting Colonel Liam for the Muniz. Just an awesome day of racing shaping up.
Yeah, looking forward to it as the fairground meet winds down. And again, you've done a great job down there. You, Joe Christopher, John Dooley. Appreciate watching you guys on the pregame and during the paddock commentary and whatnot. And so again, pass my thoughts on to the rest of the team as well. And the behind-the-scenes guys who are always important, because it's been fun watching throughout the season. You'll be taking a look at a little Gulfstream today, but before we do that, let's do a little review and preview the 3-year-old stakes last year. A couple of upsets. I liked Helium in the Tampa Bay Derby underneath a little bit, but as I was doing the afternoon show looking at the odds, I said, I think you got to play around with Helium in here. He's kind of interesting off the 2 races at Woodbine, but put a little trust in Mark Casse, and that was a gutsy performance for him down the stretch. Wyburn up in New York, a very gutsy performance, and always easy to root for Jimmy Jerkins. But the wow performance among the 3 Derby preps last week was Life is Good.
Yeah, I mean, well, just start with Helium. You have to give him credit. I mean, that race fell apart, and the first 2 were basically the last 2 early, but he was wide every step of the way. As you mentioned, he hadn't run in a while. So you have to give him credit. Impressive performance. Obviously, he's got to step up and do it again. Kind of the same with Wyburn as well, because, the Gotham, maybe in hindsight, wasn't that good of a race. I think highly motivated. Out to be a nice 1-turn horse for Chad, but he didn't do a lot of running, and Chad's other horse had every chance to go by and couldn't. To Wyburn's credit, but another kind of make him prove it type of horse if he comes back in the wood straight to the Kentucky Derby. And yeah, good for Life is Good. I mean, his other horse ran interference into the first turn, took out half the field, and other horses that had speed, and Life is Good just fell on a 4-length lead and ran around a speedy track together. So while drifting out badly in the stretch. So I don't know. I'm just not a fan. He's a tremendously talented individual. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but I don't, I didn't find anything out in San Felipe that I didn't ready. And I'm sure he'll do the same thing in the Santa Anita Derby. I don't know, Seth. He doesn't look like a horse as a 10-furlong horse to me. They commented how he kept on looking at the infield tote board and video screen and stuff like that. Well, they have one that's about the size of a football field at Churchill Downs. And there'll be about 70,000 people, we hope, there. So, an awesome performance, but it's Bob Baffert. What you don't expect any different. So he's a horse that I'll be happily ready and eager to play against come the first Saturday in May.
Speaking of Baffert, let's get some of your thoughts on today's Derby prep. The Rebel down at Oaklawn, Caddo River off the big Smarty Jones win will take a lot of action. Clearly, keep me in mind. Interesting for Robertina Diodoro in the 3-year-old debut, last having been seen winning a Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs. I'm going to tilt concert tour. And we have the new podcast, The Daily Report, and I toss out a trivia question. And in honor of Bob Baffert and the Rebel, my trivia question for yesterday's podcast was, of the last 12 runnings, how many last runnings of the Rebel, how many have Bob Baffert won? He's won 7 of the last 12.
I was going to say 7. Okay.
7 of the last 12. It's crazy. So I'm taking a little pop with concert tour, but Marty Jones may be tough. What are your thoughts on the Rebel?
Yeah, it's kind of a post, isn't it, Seth? I think Caddo River's in a bad spot, and Concert Tour is in a really good spot. And I can, he did not wow me in the San Vicente because Freedom Fighter, who subsequently bombed in the Gotham, Freedom Fighter had won, I think, since August and had only run one time. And so Concert Tour had all the recency. He also had a huge post position edge. Would have thought he would have delivered more, and he didn't. But today in the Rebel, he gets all the best of it. Caddo River was awesome, winning the Smarty Jones, but he feel absolutely nothing. Now, hey, that's for sure. But it seems like a post position race to me, Seth. Caddo River, Contours outside. It's like it'll probably seal Caddo River's fate and put Concert Tour in a big spot. The horse I'm dead set against is Keep Me in Mind. I mean, I don't think he's very good anyway. The Kentucky Jockey Club, I believe horses coming out of that race are, I think, 0 for 12 now, Seth. And, the horse missed 3 weeks of training. So he's in a really bad spot today. Get Her Number interests me a little bit underneath. And Hosier, who knows about that one? Another Bob Baffert horse coming in, stretched out to 2 turns last time, broke his maiden, stepping way up. But you know how these Baffert horses can get and run at Oaklawn Park, especially. But I do think Concert Tour is in a really good spot, and I think he'll probably be a pretty strong favorite in there as well. I do not see Caddo River being favored over Concert Tour.
Yeah, looking forward to the stakes card at Oaklawn. The Rebel scheduled to go off our time at about 6:15, so keep that in mind. Watch it here on the network. And I will say, coming up a little bit later on top of the hour, Racing Across America, have Rick Hammerly. He's the racing director down at Oaklawn. We went through the stakes schedule. Taped that yesterday with Rick and went through the stakes with Rick Hammerly. That was very interesting. And I'll also note that on the card at Oaklawn, there's a nice 4-year-old filly from McPeak, En Voutante, Southern California. It's the return of the 3-year-old filly champion from last year in the Beholder Mile, Swiss Skydiver. So we'll also be joined at the top of the hour for Racing Across America by Kenny McPeak. We'll talk a little bit about Swiss Skydiver, En Voutante, and more. We'll also have Bob Ehalt come on and take a look at some of the 3-year-old action as well. All of that top of the hour, but right now, Handicappers Report. We will jump in. Again, Brian based this winner down at the Fairgrounds, but he's our guy covering Gulfstream on the one sheet here on the Handicappers Report on Saturday morning. So we'll dive into the Gulfstream Park program. Race number 1. Oh, and I should tout. Last Sunday, tip of the cap, a phenomenal day on the one sheet at Gulfstream. You went 9 for 11 on Sunday.
Yeah, thank you. It's funny. I mapped out the Rainbow Six, and it was like $1,100. I'm not putting that much money into it. And then it paid somewhere around $11. I didn't play it. And then, of course, I sweep the last 5 races in the sequence to pick 5 straight. And I got a lot of texts and messages saying how people owe me many, many beers. And I was kind of sitting there in my hands watching it all.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. And right back at you, because I believe you were, was it Wednesday? You were 8 for 10? So,
yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oh, no, Wednesday I was 8 for 10 at Gulfstream, and Thursday I was 8 for 10 at Gulfstream.
Okay.
And then yesterday I was 6 for 8 in New York. So
Well, that's well done, too. So, yeah, the one sheet's been good. And it's nice on a big day to get going, because I have admittedly, I would love to break down my ROI on non-Saturdays. I would think it's about $2. It's about $1.75 at the meet, which, you know, with takeout, I'm pretty proud of. But on non-Saturdays, it's probably over $2. And then I get on here with you on Saturdays and go about 2 for 12 or something. And it's like, oh my God, it's frustrating as heck. But it's been a pretty good, solid meet overall. The play of the day is up to, I think, 193. And that's from all the way back in June, I believe. So I'm pretty proud of that as well. And I'd love to get that. But as you know, it's damn hard to do this. Yeah. Essentially, that $1.50 is almost breaking even with the takeout. So Absolutely. It's hard. It's hard, and I'm pretty proud of that.
Absolutely. And again, every day, every racing day, you can swing by Capital OTB, the nice printable sheet with Brian. Puts them in the matrix with A's and B's. So it's a clever way to look at some of the races at Gulfstream on their racing days. And we will jump in and get the opinions for Gulfstream on this Saturday, kicking off in the opener. Maiden 16 claimers scheduled to go 5 on the grass.
Early pick 5. I'm on a 12 hard. Weather looks good all weekend. 6-2 over the top city, outside attack post, second blinkers, tactical speed at this. Seems to be in a good spot. There's a lot of races set down at Gulfstream at this time of the year where you're like, okay, 1 or 2 horses can win. 6 or 8 of them can't. This is kind of one of those races. Miss Mara, firster for Carlos David, a high percentage barn, and he is 4 for 18 with firsters. The post is a little problematic, being down inside. Excuse me, in the lane from the outside, but she does have speed. I think that bodes well. Second Lasix, second blinkers 2. That does well, and I think getting back to the turf where she ran a 46-2 back, that buyer is by far her best number. Now she does it sprinting on turf with Lasix and blinkers for the first time. Major player for Safi Joseph. 6-2 over the 10 in the opener at Gulfstream.
Race number 2 kicks off an early pick 4 at Gulfstream. 12-5 claimers going the 1-turn mile.
4-7 over the 2-6. Kentucky Pride. There's a lot of speed in this race, Seth, and Kentucky Pride can settle a little bit. A very slight class drop. First time, last time for Bob Hess. Ran pretty well to be 5th against better. The number kind of figures in a group like this, and I think the race flow maybe says she can maybe pull a little minor surprise here. Maureen Loves Frank on the outside for Brad Cox. Brad's had an okay meet at Gulfstream. I've talked to him quite a bit, and, he wasn't sure maybe what he was getting into down there. And he brought horses that could be competitive, a little bit underneath his normal percentage. But Maureen Loves Frank got it done last time as tactical, pressing from the outside, but does face winners at an underlaid price, so kind of tread lightly there. Infatuating, this is no disrespect to Dave Falk, but he's improved and he's 0 for 15 off the claim. Infatuating down inside, to me, says regression. The only thing I will add to her merit is she's the only 2-time winner in a field of a bunch of one-bers, and that's a big deal. And then number 6, Greenwood Drive out under Paco, getting the pass a few late.
Moving on to race number 3 on Saturday afternoon. Maiden $40,000 claimer scheduled on the grass at a mile.
You can $8 on Oceanair. I don't know. He looks like about 5 in here to me. 5 over the 3-4. The maiden special weight dropper. Christophe Beaumont has not had let's just be honest, he has not had a good meet. A lot of his horses have underperformed. He's 4 for 44 at the meet for a barn that typically is in the 20-22% With that being said, Ocean Air looks every bit of, even money. This is a weak field, takes the biggest drop in racing. You look at the 3 buyers, lay over this field, a better post position than certainly the first 2 starts, and even the rail last time can be a little tricky on a young, lightly raced filly. I think she's in a spot to finally break through and maybe put a little misery out of the way for the barn. Hop will improve second time off a long layoff for Brian Lynch, and the maiden special weight to 40 drop is a big one as well. And then Talk Radio for Mott does add Lasix, but those first 2 runs on the turf in Kentucky and at Gulfstream, maiden special weights, they were not pretty, and I think she needs to wake way up. Ocean Air looks like a kind of a name the score type of race to me, Seth. 5, 3, 4.
All right, I will boldly go from 3 to 5 as you were talking. I mean, the rest of the field. Betting public focuses so much on buyers. I think a clear buyer's edge, and the maiden special weight claiming numbers are so good for Clement. I'm going 4 to 5.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And Seth, when I own a racetrack and I start calling all the shots, I will make the morning line maker look at DRS, look at buyer speed figures. I don't care if you like or hate them. The betting public looks at them more than anything else. And oh gosh, this is just such a bad job. I mean, look at this horse, Seth. I know you use the buyers maybe a little more than most people, but you see my point. I mean, it's the predominant number in racing. Looking at them to set a morning line. Of course, at 3 to 1 is just it's a bad job. It's as simple as that. This horse will probably be even. This is the type of I've lamented this so many times in the past, and it's like I'm beating the record here, but broken record. But the average Joe Blow says, "Oh, I'd like to play the early pick 5, but I don't have time to handicap the race." And he looks 3. Oh, it's a wide open 1 morning line favorite. Oh, I'll use 4 or 5 horses here. The morning line is somebody direct like that. If the morning line was proper at 6, 7 to 5, Joe Blow singles, then he moves on, and it's a benefit to us that do our homework. I understand, but for the good of it's not a good job.
Yeah, like I say, 4 to 5 to me looks like I'm going to have to be watching this afternoon at the odds board. The 4th race today, maiden 16 to 20 claimers, going 6.5 furlongs.
This is the play of the day, and our buddy Anthony's got that mantra that he says, I only have to climb one mountain when I'm playing against a heavy favorite. And it's 6-7. Constituency comes out of 2 really, really live maiden special weight races right here at Fairgrounds. 6 furlongs on debut, a mile and a 16th last time. Drops, add blinkers, goes through Dallas door. Dallas have an awesome meet here. Try to get him on, Seth, if you can. He's got title ready going to Dubai. He's fun to talk to. Because he drops, goes from Daly to Jeff Angler, adds, and just off that race, off those 2 races, I think he's in a great spot here. Best bet of the day. I think he'll be 2 to 1, and Converter will be 7 to 5 or so. Converter's clearly the favorite. There's no doubt about it. But he's also 0 for 7 with 5 underneath finishes. And he's been running against state breds as well. Now he goes into open 20s. It's just a bad race. The other horses can't win. I guess maybe Pacific Legend. It's a 2-horse race, and Constituency has every reason to go way, way up. And Converter actually might regress a little bit. You might get 9 to 5 on Constituency. It's another bad morning line. I think he's in a great spot. He's the play of the day. He's a single in the early pick 5 and the early pick 4.
Nice. Race number 5, bottom level claimers going 6.5.
5-1 over the 7. Flawless Moon won last time, Seth, so does rise in class. But I've said this quite a bit. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to be rising in class in these low-level claiming races. And there's a lot of speed in here as well. The 1, 2 still want to be involved. I think Flawless Moon from off the base can run them down. It will be a pretty nice price, too. Now, Weiser down inside is probably the speed of the speed. I'm just hoping he gets nagged a bit on the lead. And 6.5 is a tough distance of wire. He couldn't do it last time, and I'm hoping he doesn't do it today. Resident is one of the reasons why I'm a little against Wisner wiring, because with Saez pressing from the outside on the class drop, it will not be easy for Wisner, and I think that subsequently can set up Flawless Moon as well. 5-1 over the 7. This ends the early stuff, but it kicks off another pick 4 at Gulfstream as well.
All right, and we'll do one more before we take a break. Race number 6, optional claimer, non-winners of one other than in race 6, they'll go the one-turn mile.
6-1 over the 7. Len Low Lady just aired last time. And yeah, she steps up and faces winners, and this is a big class rise too. And she might regress. She might bounce badly. But boy, she was really good last time. Second Lasix. There's not a lot in here, and there's not a lot of speed in here for a 6-horse race. So I'm going to come right back to her. Army Wife is a decided favorite. Down inside for Maker, Gaffleon adds Lasix, but hasn't been out since November at Churchill. So just maybe she needs one. And the top pick will get first run as well. And I've got the 7 in third, Seth, and that's literally impossible. So it's Sweet Pearl. At my old age, I'm transposing figures here. Sweet Pearl underneath for Bobby DeBona and off the win last time. And she'll be pretty close too. But I'm going to come back to Len Low Lady at what could be an okay price on the class rise.
I have done the exact same thing in the past. And then you look at the one sheet and you're going, how did I get the 7? Where did that come from? But I have on occasion exactly that same thing.
It's scary because I'll put like the 1, 2, 4, and then I look at the 4, and the 4 is like 30-1. And I'm like, what? And I look a couple slots over, and the 5 horse is 4-1. So I'm double and triple checking before I send it, but apparently I didn't quadruple check. So 6-1.
I've been there. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll complete our look at Gulfstream in a couple of minutes after that. I'll shift the attention to Aqueduct. All of that after this. Stay tuned.
Horses, people betting, going on since before the Roman. And the fastest horse is still where there's gambling, that hasn't changed either. What has changed are the tools used to combat doping and cheaters. Today, professional horse racing operates under an aggressive anti-doping program, testing labs on par with the Olympics, and standards tougher than human sport. For 85 years, the Association of Racing Commissioners International has fought for safe horses and honest sport. ARCI standards form the basis for the rules of racing. Today, they call a new expanded program to protect horses, young and old. To join with them or learn more, visit arci.com.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Race channel on Roku lets you watch OTB live through your Roku or your Amazon stick, rather than being limited and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for this Saturday morning. Seth, Merrow, and Brian Nadeau. Brian's taking a look at Gulfstream. I'll take a look at Aqueduct in a little bit as well. But don't forget a big over at Oak Lawn and out at Santa Anita, the return of Swiss Skydiver in the Beholder Mile. So it's another nice day of racing. And as we said at the top of the show, if you missed that, Brian being stationed down at Fairgrounds this winter, they have a huge day coming up next week, and they'll be drawing this morning for the Louisiana Derby. So you'll be able to check out those PPs all week long. All right, let's jump back into Gulfstream's 7th race, maiden special, 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs.
Yeah, it's a gem of a morning line here. Bears watching might be 3 to 5 if none of these firsters can run, and none of these firsters look all that good. So if you're playing this Rainbow 6, there's a great spot to single what will be a very, very heavy favorite. 7 over the 8-11. Tipped his hand on debut. I believe this is Code of Honor's little brother. That mare reunited for Will Farish. A good in the slop. You didn't really expect him to win on debut, going 6 furlongs. Now we stretch out a little bit. He's got all the reason to think that he'll be one of those late second half 3-year-olds that gets pretty good for Shug. Impossible. Well, I would think he'll probably be 3 to 5 or something like that. Number 8, Golden Spoke. It took a little price. You know, Seth, I've talked about this a lot. Heavy favorite on top, a price underneath. Golden Spoke didn't run poorly on sprinting for Jack Sisterson. Stretches out a couple furlongs. Mishawish out of an unaccounted for mare. So definitely some dirt and distance on the distance all around. Dirt on the bottom. And then number 11. Stainless steel for Brissett. They paid over $500,000 for this one, and Windstar and that China Horse Club conglomerate there, a Quality Road cult. The third foal out of the dam, and none of the other 2 were really runners. So I would think this one looked the part, but the pedigree's not really there. The work's due, but Rudy Brissett, typically, I know he's up to 15%, but I always think this is a more little patient barn. Let's watch one from Stain. This is all about this watching it. I would think, I know there's 12%, but, you know, you look at this field, it's like, who are you going to bet? I would think Bears watching would be odds on.
Yeah, I totally agree off of that debut. And as you say, has some decent siblings on the resume as well. 8th race at Gulfstream today. For the afternoon show, I looked at Gulfstream as well. Top of the page for me. I have written this is a competitive race. Starter allowance at the 25,000 level, 1.5 miles on the grass.
You know, Seth, you're right. It's a competitive race, but the separator that I use is, how many of them? Five of the 7 come out of Bourbon in May race. And, you know, they went a distance that day, and they flew early. It was that funky race. The leader went out by 15, 20 lengths, and it completely fell apart late. So what I did was I just played against all those horses. I never like to see a group basically flying together. Kind of what happened that day. So I went with Yamamoto, lightly raced, tactical. Yeah, he steps up in class, but this is, you know, he's got Saez. He won 2 back. He ran well last time on the rock, and he's very tactical again. So I think he's going to be in the right spot in an absolutely paceless race, and I just played out against the 5-pack coming out of that Bourbon in May race. I put Yamamoto on top. Saglio for Steve Placeris was just headed out, but he made first run in the Bourbon of May race. I think that cost him late because he made first run into that odd, hellacious, funky pace, and it helped Bourbon in May, who lagged back and got second run, and it helped him and it hurt Soglio. So I think today, under a better timed ride, blinkers off, we'll maybe hopefully let him settle a little bit. He'll run better. And then Bourbon and May I have in third. But I like Yamamoto in here, Seth. I think the new face is a good angle in a spot like this.
Yeah, I went with Bourbon and May on top, but I used Yamamoto right underneath it. And I totally agree. I think that one is absolutely live in there. 9th race, fun little maiden race for the 3-year-olds on the grass at 1.8 miles. Fun because it's a nice full field with all the familiar connections kind of in here, the live connections and whatnot. And I think you can point at a few in here that could be solid contenders, and you could have the same amount of confidence on. I'll be interested to see which direction you went in race number 9.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and yet I picked the favorite. So I wanted to get a little creative. I couldn't come up with much, and I fly like an eagle. It's 8 over the 1.6. I thought it was significant, Seth, that in an 11-horse field for Barkley Tag on debut, and they paid $12,000 for a Son of Constitution. This horse was favored at 5-2. I mean, that's wild to me. Jose Ortiz was aboard that day, so there was obviously some intent. They liked the horse. Ran a very good third, and now he's back. And, you know, it's a solid field, but no else is beaters, and I would think Fly Eagle Roofs second out. So I put him on top. Guan River Valley for Clement. I mentioned the barn's really struggling at the meet. This one hasn't been out since December at Aqueduct. Second on the dirt, now returns on the turf. Adds late huge as well. And then number 6, Please the Pharaoh for John Kimmel. He's improving. Was just a close, good fourth last time at 8-1 with a 70 buyer, and now he's 12-1. Odd, but I think he's a major player as well. But I did chalk out here 8 over the 1-6. I'm thinking Fly Like an Eagle, a big move forward today.
I put that one on top too, but this is one where I'm going to be interested to see what the odds are going in the gate, because we mentioned the buyers. The first start was good. You have one of the Ortiz brothers on board, but it's Barkley Tag as opposed to some of the other names in here, which I think will attract a little attention as well. So this one I'm going to be interested to see where the odds shake out in a big full field. I'm curious, and it won't shock me either way. I mean, I don't think we're going to go up from 5-2 by any means, but could we get 5-2 or 2-1, or will this one attract the attention at 6-5? I am totally. I could go either way on this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat this one up too much, Seth, because when you go from 5-2 to 2-1, it's a 5-point difference, and you've got to really maneuver some others. It is a 12-horse field, as you said. It's only Barkley Tag. There's some big names in here. I will say this: I wouldn't want any less than 5-2 on this horse, even though I picked them on top. I wouldn't want anything less over the 1-6.
Very good. All right, race number 10. Optional claimer, non-winners are one other than the 1 turn mile.
2-3 over the 1, Seth. Here's another good one. Why is it funny bet like 4-5 in this race? I mean, look at 285, 88 off the layoff at the level, and who the heck is going that in here other than Posey? And so to me, it's just 2-3. Settle off the speed, ran huge off the break last time, and is right back that 6-5. Don't get Cozy, the only logical alternative. 2 good races, 2 good figures, certainly in the mix. And the number 1 Princess Betty is out of this on figures. It needs to move way up, but you have Jose Ortiz in form, so she can get it as well. We are much these 2-3 over the 1 set.
Stakes action on Saturday is the Silks Run, $75,000 for the sprint in the grass.
3, 4, 5, little price Harry's on the loose, and I think it's a race where you're supposed to look for a price because they're all kind of similar on paper, and Harry's on the loose can get settled just off the speed and get first run. You look at the race against Leinster last time, the race 2 back against Imprimax driving a kid in the critical way. I mean, there's no one like that in here. So from close range, maybe a little bit of a surprise. You're not going to get 6, but at maybe 7-2 or so looks good. Karatari, certainly a player for Brian Lynch. I believe Saratoga course record holder, right? Or at least at one point going 5.5 inside. Yes, I am close, tough price. Just lost the May Tai one on. There's a name for you. Is a threat right back, but we'll have to run hard step of the way. And 3, 4, 1, 5 in the featured Silks Run.
And we wrap it up. Race number 12 on Saturday afternoon. Scheduled post time 5:50 in the p.m. Conditional claimers going a mile on the grass.
7-5 over the 4. Juan Pau off the Antonio Sano claim. The stats don't show it, but like a couple years ago, Sano was upper 20s off the claim. Goes for Jose Ortiz, so there's clearly some intent here. Digital footprint, those to beat on the drop kicker. And then number 4, Danzing Dunhill, kind of another one of those races, Seth. Aside from the favorites, it's kind of tough to come up with anyone else. 7-5 over to wrap it up at Gulfstream.
Sounds good. So there's the Gulfstream Saturday card in the books. We'll take a break. We'll shift our attention to Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination of work and play with easy connections to more than than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. Short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the renovated in the past the New York State Museum. From aviation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something. See you soon.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit RTN.tv. RTN, a breed.
Come back to the Saturday Handicappers report. Brian just got a Gulfstream, and Seth is going to get to 10 at Aqueduct. Kind of a rare 10 pack on a Saturday. It isn't one of their key days, and we'll kick it off at 12:50, that rotating post time in New York. It's the openers, estate bred 3 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track.
2, 8, 1, 7 for me. I put BC Glory Days on top. Just a couple of good starts so far. One back in the middle of January, one mid to late February. Had the lead late in both and faded, but got a little closer last time. It looks like this is going to be the one to beat. Experience counts. I like maiden races where you can look at the breeding and the connections and find some interesting first-time starters, but sometimes the experience does count, and those kind of horses stand out. That's the case with BC Glory Day. Second spot, I will go with after St. Shelby. Goes out for Robin Ross. And I like Cantheros as a sire of win early type runner. So I thought this one with maybe a little bit of breeding could be interesting, as well as Ghostmon going out for Rudy Rodriguez first time by Ghost Zapper. So maybe a little bit of breeding there. I mean, the workouts aren't jumping off the page. But again, other than BC Glory Days, the horses don't really attract me. I mean, Gary Siaka has 42 ace. At a best effort, this horse is a player I had down at the bottom of my mix, but, has had 7 tries and hasn't got yet. But again, at best effort puts that one in the mix. But again, the one with experience that attracted me was BC Glory Days, and then take pop with a couple of firsters that may be interesting. 1 and 7 in the opener.
All right, early pick 4 time in race 2. It's Fillies and Mares 3 and up, 16,002L, going 6 furlongs.
1, 3, 4, and 2. Miss Charisma on top for me. Jeremiah Engelhardt trainee that had a seasonal debut back in the middle of February, and it was a pretty good close-up second place finish. Eric Cancel back on board again today. Just off of that effort, it looks like a player. I think class-wise is going to class up very nicely with this group this afternoon. So up with that one on top. Hara in the second spot. Ran 4th last time in a similar race back in the early part of February. I just overall, I wasn't thrilled with that 4th place finish in a similar event, but it's one of those where you look at this horse, you look at the better races from this horse, and I think they compare pretty nicely with this particular group. So I think this 4th place finish last time, which was an okay effort, but nothing spectacular. I think this horse fits nicely with this group this afternoon. And Love Me Tomorrow in the 3rd spot. Ran a good 3rd in a similar event last time after having the lead early, and I think that could be the situation here. This is a horse that looks to have some nice early speed. There are a couple others in here that may show some speed, but Love Me Tomorrow has the pace advantage and takes them all the way around, or tries to anyway, in the second at 1, 3, 4, and 2.
All right, race 3 is a maiden special weight Fillies and Mares 3 and up, 6.5 furlongs. 4,
3, 6, and 2, Strafe on top. Good finish in the career debut for Chad Brown. That was back in January. I thought it was a good effort to, those to build off of. Showed a little bit of improvement in the second career start. Just looks logical. The other Chad, actually on the morning line, is the favorite back channel. It's one of those where only the one start, I thought straight maybe had a little more upside potential. So I tilted in favor of that one over back channel. As I say, the other Chad Brown runner, who, so far in the rear has hit the board 5 times in 5 starts, just hasn't gotten it done, but went off as a short-priced favorite last time before being a well-beaten third. That was back in December. Won't shock me to see this lightly raced horse come back, after being on the sidelines for the better part of 3 months with maybe a little added maturity and more talent. Third spot, I'll use Venus Oizo. As I say, the third spot off a dull performance last time, but that was back in September at Belmont. Okay, on a best effort, I think this one a little bit interesting at a price. In the fourth, we'll go for the Chad Zacta, 4-3, 6-2.
All right, here it's a 10,000 claim holders here. 3-year-olds and up at a mile. I want to say this too, Seth. I don't remember this in New York this early in the year. 3-year-olds, and here yesterday, our finale, there were 8 horses. 6 of them were 3-year-olds, and guess who ran 1-2? At this time of year, on March 13th, I think it's a big deal and a big advantage to be a 4-year-old facing some 3-year-olds this early in the year.
You're absolutely right. For folks who may be new to the game, that's a great point to bring up, because I know there are a lot of people who all year long, that's something they really look at. 3-year-olds, older, always tilt 4-year-olds. And I agree with you. I'm not sure whether I'm as convinced when you start getting into maybe June and July, but if you're in March, April, and May, it is definitely worth considering when you're looking at these types of races. I have a 2, 1A, 5, up 7 on top, heavy roller, with a short price on the board. It's Robatras, a horse that heads with a little bit better, pretty much all the races on the page. So I think with another, half step of class is in a good spot here in this bunch. Amongst the entry, I prefer the 1A in here, and off a 6-play finish last time against a little bit lesser, but just I think is that again, when you look at this particular group, I think Playwright is going to fit all right, and then Mind the Coin in the third spot has some nice position, early speed, should be in the thick of throughout, gets a little class relief. Kendra Carmouche on board, who's having a very winter down in New York. And so in the fourth at Aqueduct, I have a 2, 1A, 5, and 4.
All right, let's sneak one more card and have the late pick 5 coming up. Race 5 kicks off the Empire 6. I believe they're still paying that out on a daily basis. 3-year-olds and up, the claiming tag 16. We go 6 on the main track.
3, 2, 7, and 6 for me. The number 3 is Fox Red. Goes out for Rudy Rodriguez off a time against just a touch better. Had the lead most of the way and just faded a little bit late. But again, as I say, I think it was a good finish, particularly now that you add in this little dose of class relief. So Fox Red on top, Shamrock in the second spot. This one, on the other hand, won last time out. Did it against a little bit lesser. Goes out for Ray Handel today off of that front end win. It might be interesting with these two having shown speed in their last races, but I think both of them also have the ability to kind of stalk and still run well. So it won't surprise me if one or the other goes out and grabs the lead and the other is just sitting off and not necessarily pushing, not necessarily setting it up for a horse to come from behind. I think they'll be okay, but we'll see. Better swing in the third spot. Horse that has been in the money 3 of 4 starts so far in 2021. Gets a little dose of class relief this afternoon that could be beneficial as well. So in the fifth race, 3, 2, 7, and 6. And Brian, that'll take us to our break. You're going to cut out, correct? You're going to head to the...
I'm going to cut out, and you're going to have 5-pack to end this. And next Saturday, I will see everyone back here, and looking forward to it. Obviously, Gulfstream, but don't forget Fairgrounds Louisiana Derby Day. So that's 13 races, 8 stakes. That'll be pretty cool. I think it's a great renewal, Seth, of the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, we'll certainly talk about it as the week progresses here on the network and whatnot, because we'll be able to dig into those PPs as you are drawing this morning. What time did you say we can look for it here?
We'll have a live draw. John G. Dooley will MC it at 11:30. Scott Jones, racing secretary, Lefty Salazar, stakes coordinator. They'll have a live draw for the Louisiana Derby at 11:30. It'll be on the fairgrounds simulcast feed, Facebook Live as well. Joe K is going to host it on Facebook Live. I'll be bopping around there as well. And then I would think your time's 2:30 card.
Very good. Brian, appreciate it. Good luck this afternoon. Always have fun and good luck down at the fairgrounds. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, you too, Seth. Thanks so much.
Brian Nadeau, again, you can catch his selections if you didn't get a chance to write them down. CapitalOTB.com. Click on the handicapper support link. Nice printable sheet, which also includes my Aqueduct picks, and I will complete the Aqueduct card right after this. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite team, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the Capital Region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of on Spectrum K Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Let me dive back into Aqueduct race number 6. Maiden claimers furlongs. I have a 2, 5, 9, and 3 in the 6th. Royal Kaz on top. Lots of early speed, and that may be the game plan here. Comes out of a couple similar races where the horse took the lead and then just faded a little bit, but seemed to improve last time. 2 starts back, ran 4th. Last time ran 2nd. So just maybe primed for a little move forward again this afternoon. Royal Kaz on top. Morning line favorite, Devious Mo in the 2nd spot. Rudy Rodriguez, trainee, getting some class relief, and that may make Devious Mo very tough in here. But again, I just thought off the last 2, Royal Kaz might be in a good spot to get it done on the front end after a couple of tries just fading a little bit, but might hang longer this afternoon. So Royal Kaz over Devious Mo, who again is completely logical. And in the 3rd spot, a light. Nice second place finish, 2 back. Ran a little 4th last time when the horse action at 9-2, but I thought the race 2 back was pretty good. I'm going to hope we get closer to that this afternoon in the 6th race at Aqueduct. 2, 5, 9, and 3. Race number 7 at Aqueduct, we are looking at claimers going 6 furlongs, and I have it 7, 4, 8, and 1. Scorpion Dynasty on top. Yet another horse with some early speed. Trevor McCarthy jumping on board. This one was on board last time for the Maiden Breaker. Took, 14 career starts for this one to finally break through, but was finally able to speed all the way around the track. Typically, this horse shows some early speed and fades. Last time showed that early speed and held on. I'm hoping now with that one under the belt, maybe strings a couple together on the front end. It is a little bit more of an ask, though, to step outside of the maiden ranks and get it done. But I'll with Trevor McCarthy having ridden last time, back on board again today, I'll trust Scorpion Dynasty to maybe put a couple of speedball efforts together. There is a couple of, there are one or two other horses in here with some early speed that may put a monkey wrench in that plan, but Scorpion Dynasty on top. Victory Built. This one, on the other hand, may stalk and pounce if things do fall apart on the front end. Class-wise, I think the horse is okay in here. Last time ran a good second and lesser. And the 3 races versus this company just prior to that are okay. But again, I think with this particular bunch, Victory Built may be a good fit in here. Third spot, Disco, like the top pick, has some early speed. And I said there are some other horses with speed in here. So I'm hoping these two don't, kind of head-to-head it all the way around and set things up. But I think Posse Disco, with only the 5 starts in the career, maybe has a little upside potential and doesn't always show the early speed. So I'm hoping Scorpion Dynasty has the speed and can kind of a little bit, Posse Disco maybe does a little more of a stalking style. We'll see how that works out, however. In the 7th at Aqueduct, 7, 4, 8, and 1. Number 8, I have it 8, 2, 4, and 6. The number 8 being Secret Rules Mott. Horse that's some ability there. 8 starts, couple wins, 4 seconds, 2 thirds. So is in the hunt far, far, far more often than not, and does it, at a level that is not going to be an obstacle compared to the levels today, because it's been in similar races recently and has been knocking at the door. I think the door gets answered today for Secret Rules. Second spot will go with Big Engine. Comes out of the Holly Hughes last time. Good second place finish behind My Boy Tate with a good number. Linda Rice Runner, I think, is obviously in good form and becomes potentially the one to beat in here. And then High Velocity in the third spot. Tossed in a clunker. I think the horse is better than that. And this is one that just, as I down the mix a little bit, looking for one at a price to throw in to play around with. High Velocity, again, if you draw a line through the last race, I think this is a horse that could be interesting in here at a little bit of a price. So the 8th race this afternoon at Aqueduct, 8, 2, 4, and 6. The 9th race today is the Correction, $100,000 up for grabs for the fillies and mares going 6 furlongs, 3, 6, 5, and 1. I'll put a Muse on top. Comes in from Southern California for Dick Mandela. I've said it many times. These Southern California sprinters who come to New York over the past years, you just have to pay attention. And I think this is no exception, but another one that kind of jumps off the page as being one you have to look at. Comes out of some stakes action at Santa Anita, and I just think maybe it gets the better of this field coming east to take advantage of the $100,000 purse here in this field. Awesome Debate in the second spot. I would expect this one to be the Catch Me If You Can horse. Sadie Lady, also some early speed, but it looks like from the outside, Awesome Debate for Charlie Baker may try to take them all the way around, and comes off a couple of nice wins most recently and may be tough to run down in the stretch. In the third spot, Jump for Joy off a nice win last time against Allowance Company, and is also a player in here. In the Correction, the feature race this afternoon at Aqueduct, I have a 3, 6, 5, and 1. And finally, we'll wrap it up in the 10th race this afternoon. Maiden Claimers going 6 furlongs. I have it 1, 9, 4, and 7. Carlos Martin having a pretty good meet this winter down at Aqueduct, and he trains for Spirit. Only 4 races so far, and the last one wasn't spectacular by any means, and it was when dropped to this level. I'm going to give this horse another chance, though. It's just one of those situations where, again, looking at this horse compared to this field today, I think Forest Spirit is going to be an okay fit with this bunch. Box in the second spot for the second place finish last time versus a little bit lesser. So class-wise, well, actually, no, I take that back. It was pretty much a similar race last time. So again, given what we saw last time, now 2 and 3 races back was in similar company and didn't do as well. So last time may have signaled, maybe the horse is kind of figuring it out in here. Skipping and jumping in the third spot. This one moved to this level last time, showed a little bit of punch before fading, but now goes out for Linda Rice and our friend Robbie Valente. And I think off of that race last time is the beaten favorite. Maybe a little bit interesting in here this afternoon as well. 10th and final at Aqueduct, 1, 9, 4, and 7. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the Handicappers report for this Saturday, March 13th. Once again, we looked at in Gulfstream, but a great card at Oaklawn this afternoon, highlighted by the Rebel. They have some other stakes races underneath that are very good. Out in Southern California, going off our time at what, about 5, 6, 7:20 our time will be the Beholder and the return of Swiss Skydiver, last year's 3-year-old filly champion. We will talk Oaklawn and Beholder with Swiss Skydiver coming up, top of the hour, Racing Across America. Yesterday I did an interview with Rick Hammerly, the racing director at Oaklawn, and covered some of the stakes action at Oaklawn. We also caught up yesterday with Ken McPeak, trainer of Swiss Skydiver, talked about her and En Voutante, who races at Oaklawn this afternoon. And we'll also be joined live this morning by Bob Ehalt, rates for Blood Horse and America's Best Racing. Get some of his thoughts on the recent 3-year-old action and this afternoon's Rebel and more from Bob. All of that coming up at the top of the hour. Hit you also with the promo for today here at the Clubhouse Racebook handicapping contest. It's the Play the Board handicapping contest. Come on down and take your shot. Play the horses this afternoon and also jump in for a little bit of the handicapping contest action today at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, that does it for the Handicappers report. Thanks for tuning. Stay tuned. Top of the hour, it's Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Bank.